So, for this equation, what's our first step?
Is it integration by parts?
Exactly. And what would u and dv be?
So x for u and e x dx for dv.
Precisely. Now continue.
Harvard professor Jeffrey Ashford said, pointing his marker straight at the black janitor in the back of the auditorium. He looked her up and down, slowly, deliberately, then smirked at the crowd.
This equation is unsolvable. Even I couldn't do it.
I can solve it right now. First, we define f, then the partials are 2x and 2y, so the Laplacian is 4. And the f be 4.
Incredible, you solved it.
Forward in her chair. Audrey Whitfield in row 3 picks her pen back up. Ashford's smile is fixed now. He laughs once, sharply. That's a notational convention, Ms. Brooks. It's standard in the field. It's a load-bearing assumption, Professor. If line 3 is wrong, every line after it inherits the error. Even if, and I'm saying if, that were true, spotting an error is not a solution. The bet was for a closed form, not a critique.
Let's look at this equation.
Here, we apply the chain rule,
Exactly. And the result is this integral.
which simplifies to this.
Any questions?
She writes a small correction next to his line 3. She doesn't erase his work. She writes hers in the same handwriting size, in the same space, like a doctor writing a second opinion next to a first one. Here is what you missed. Here is the fix. In the front row, a graduate student whispers audibly, "Oh my God." That whisper carries. 3 people in the row behind him turn their heads. Phones come up higher. The live stream comment counter visible on the back wall monitor ticks from 80 viewers to 400, then to 1,200. Audrey Whitfield writes a single sentence in her notebook. She underlines it twice. The sentence reads, "She just corrected him in front of the world." In the back of the hall, the young black undergraduate has stepped away from the wall. She's moving slowly toward the front, like a person walking toward a thing she's been waiting her whole life to see and is afraid will disappear if she walks too fast. A graduate student in the second row notices her. He scoots over and pats the empty seat beside him. She sits down. She doesn't take her eyes off Whitney. In the engineering building across campus, 2 professors who'd planned to skip the colloquium have pulled up the live stream on a laptop. One of them mutes a phone call mid-sentence. The other says, Wait, who is that woman?" Across the country, a math department chair at Stanford gets a text from her postdoc that says only, "Open YouTube, now." The live stream comment counter ticks past 2,000, then 3. The chat is moving so fast, nobody can read it. One comment, in all capital letters, freezes on the screen for a full second before scrolling. "She is not a janitor. She is not a janitor. She is not a janitor." Ashford recovers. He's a man who's recovered from worse, professionally. He turns to the audience and spreads his hands. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to point out for the record that we have just been treated to," he searches for the word, "a creative observation. Whether it stands up to peer review is another matter entirely. But please, by all means, I'm sorry, what was your name again?" Whitney does not answer. She is studying the board. "Ms. Brooks, was it?" Ms. Brooks here has 1 minute and 48 seconds remaining to convert her creative observation into an actual solution. Otherwise, this becomes simply the most entertaining anecdote of my year. A few people laugh nervously. Most don't. Whitney lifts the marker again. She turns slightly so the camera can see her face. She is not nervous. She is not angry. Her expression is the expression of a person who has been waiting a very, very long time to be in this exact place. "Professor Ashford," she says, "I want to be clear about something. I'm not going to claim what I'm about to do is original. The substitution I'm going to use was first sketched in a Russian paper in 1962. The contour deformation I'll apply is in any complex analysis textbook. The residue calculation is freshman. None of this is hard." She finally turns to look at him. "What's hard," she says, is being willing to look at line 3. The room exhales. It actually exhales. You can hear it. Eleanor Vance on the panel has not stopped staring at the board. She is doing the math herself. Her lips are moving. Henrik Sandberg has set his pen down on his notebook because his hand is shaking too hard to write. Ashford's smile has now flattened completely. It's still on his face, but it's not really there. "Solve it," he says. His voice has lost something. The cheerful bully tone is gone. What's left underneath sounds smaller. "Solve it, Miss Brooks. Don't give me a lecture on humility. Solve the integral." Whitney nods. Once. She turns back to the board. The stopwatch reads 1:32. She lifts the marker. What kind of mind sees a 30-year-old professor's life work in 15 seconds, finds the crack, and decides to walk through it? Whitney begins to write. Fast. Clean. No hesitation. Her handwriting is small and tight, the way you write when you've spent 10 years writing in supply closet folders by yourself. But it's perfectly legible, and it's perfectly aligned, and the marks she's making on the board are not the marks of someone improvising. They are the marks of someone executing a plan she's already finished in her head. She rewrites the integrand using a polar transformation. Henrik Sandberg leans forward so far, he's almost out of his chair. He whispers, "She's going to use symmetry. She's going to use symmetry." Ashford steps in. Hold on, Miss Brooks. That substitution doesn't preserve the boundary." He's right, technically, by his definition. The room tenses. The stopwatch reads 1:08. Whitney pauses the marker. She turns her head just slightly. "It does," she says, "if you accept that the boundary I'm preserving isn't yours. Yours assumed continuity at 0. Mine doesn't have to." She underlines a tiny notation in the corner of the board, 3 small marks, almost invisible from the audience. Henrik Sandberg sees them. He writes a single word in his notebook in capital letters. OH. 3 faculty members in the front row stand up involuntarily. Ashford walks to the panel table where Eleanor Vance is sitting. He's done laughing. He's done with the marriage joke. His voice drops. "Professor Vance," he says, "I'd like the chair to formally verify any claim made on this board. I want this rigorous. We're being live streamed. I will not have my work overturned by a stunt." This is his trap. It's a smart one. He's assuming Eleanor Vance, Princeton chair, distinguished mathematician, credentialed, will side with the institution, with him. Eleanor Vance stands up. She walks past Ashford without looking at him. She walks to the board. She studies what Whitney has written. She studies it for a full 5 seconds. Then she turns to the room and speaks. "For the record," her voice carries, "Ms. Brooks is correct about line 3. I would have caught it myself in a referee report, and I'm embarrassed I didn't catch it on the slide. I'm verifying, in real time, in front of this room and this camera. The clock continues to run. Ms. Brooks, you have 91 seconds remaining." She returns to her seat. The room exhales again, louder this time. The pressure has just doubled, and so has the legitimacy. Whitney is no longer a janitor making creative observations. She is a person whose math has just been formally endorsed by a Princeton chair on a live broadcast. In his dorm room 4 miles away in Brookline, Whitney's brother Teddy has been studying for a midterm. His phone is buzzing. 3 friends have sent him the live stream link with the same message. "Bro, is this your sister?" He opens the link. He sees his sister on a stage. She is holding a marker. She is not the woman who packs his lunch. She is not the woman who works night shifts. She is not the woman who has, for 10 years, refused to talk about herself. She is a stranger, and she is brilliant, and the room behind her is on fire with attention. Teddy slides off his bed and onto the floor and starts to cry. Up on the stage, Whitney lifts the marker again. The stopwatch reads 1:31. She introduces a contour deformation. She draws a small loop in the complex plane next to the equation and labels it gamma. It's a standard move, exactly as she said. Anyone who's taken a graduate course in complex analysis would recognize it. But the placement of the loop, the way she's chosen to deform it, opens up a hidden symmetry in Ashford's integral that no one in the room, including Ashford, has ever seen before. The grad students in the front row are now actively gasping, audibly. One of them, a thin kid in a crooked tie, says out loud to no one, "That's beautiful." In row 3, Audrey Whitfield is no longer writing. She's staring at the board with her mouth slightly open. She lifts her phone very carefully and starts recording. The live stream comment counter clicks to 8,300. Ashford has not sat down. He's standing near the side of the stage, watching. His hands are by his sides. His stopwatch hangs forgotten from his fingers. The arrogance is still on his face, but it's now a mask. And underneath, you can see him doing the math with her, line by line. And you can see the moment his stomach drops, because he's just realized she might actually finish. Whitney does not look at him. He has written exactly one short letter to Eleanor Vance, which Eleanor has never made public. The letter contains one sentence. "I was wrong about the problem, and I was wrong about her, and I am only equipped to apologize for one of them." Whitney does not read the letter. She tucks it into the back of her notebook and never speaks of it. There is one thing she does keep, though. In the top drawer of her new desk at the Institute for Advanced Study, in a small frame she bought at a thrift store in Princeton for $4, is a single yellow napkin. The handwriting on it is not hers. The derivation is not finished. Line 3 is crossed out and rewritten in the same wrong way it was crossed out and rewritten the first time. She keeps it because it reminds her of two things at once: that somebody else gave up on a problem, and that she didn't. She turns to the lecture hall. She lifts a marker. She writes one word on the board. "Hello." Then she turns to her students. She smiles. Really smiles. The first time the camera has caught it. "Good morning," she says. "Before we begin the lecture, let's go around the room. I'd like to know your names, starting with you." She points, not at the brightest student, not at the one with the best posture, but at the quiet young woman in the back who looks startled to be seen.
Staying hydrated is crucial for your health. It boosts energy and helps your brain function. Doctors recommend at least 8 glasses a day. So, make it a daily habit.